Hello and welcome back to Beyond the Try Line in partnership with SOCS, the podcast that looks at the Daily Mail Trophy for First 15s Rugby. I am Large and this is Little. Phil, how are you? You well, mate?
I'm very good, thanks, my man. Yeah, no, really, really good. Been another good week. Had a couple of beers last night, so a little bit dusty this morning, but not too bad.
Yeah, we've not been playing Monopoly, but we were at Waterloo last night. I'm at King's Cross now. We met up last night, didn't we, for a couple in Brewdog in Waterloo, which was superb. It felt like a Saturday night, didn't it? They had a DJ going and everything in there, So we got home on the train with a Cornish pasty in hand. Absolutely classic stuff. But it was good to meet up with a rugby parent last night who's got a lad in her first 15 and have a good chat with him about everything that's going on rugby-wise. But we're going to tear straight into it. We're very fortunate this morning. We're recording on Thursday morning and it'll be out tomorrow. But we've got Jonny Roddam, Director of Rugby at Kirkham Grammar School. Jonny, how are you this morning?
Absolutely fantastic. It's a pleasure to be on the pod. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, Jonny, you work under Talon Gill, a great friend of ours, who's headmaster at Kirkham. But could you just tell us a bit about yourself and your time that you've had at Kirkham? Because you've been there a wee while. I think I remember meeting you probably 10 plus years ago. But how have things been going up north?
Yeah, so been involved with the senior setup at Kirkham for 18 years. I'm actually an old boy at the school. I played in the first 15 in the early 2000s. But I moved back up to the northwest, mid to late 2000s. I was playing rugby over at Sedgley Park, and I got involved with just some of the coaching at Kirkham on a Wednesday afternoon, and it sort of progressed from there. Qualified as a teacher in 2010, and then applied for a job at Kirkham. Got my first sort of PE teaching job back in 2011, and then sort of working hard, coaching the first team, coaching various junior teams. Doors open, opportunities come. Ended up being head of PE. Did that for 9 years. Well, it was actually the official role was head of boys sport. Yeah, 2.5 years ago when Alex Hale, who I'd worked alongside with for a very long time, decided to move on. I got the opportunity to step up or take that move sideways to become the head of rugby after being head of sport for 9 years. And yeah, I'm absolutely loving the new role, to be honest. It's taken a couple of years to settle into it, get used to the weekly sort of carnage surrounding being a head of rugby. Thoroughly enjoying it.
Brilliant. Jonny, and a school steeped in rugby history. I remember playing against Kirkham Grammar School in a 1997 Schools Cup final, but many, many years ago. What's the secret sauce up there, Jonny? What do you guys do well? You're a small school, but you produce some fantastic rugby teams. Come on, give us the secrets.
Pretty amazing, really. So the school was originally a boys' grammar, and in 1979 it decided to go independent and become co-ed. And soon after that, the rugby really started to take off. There was a guy in charge called Brian Gornall. He only ended up being like the England schools and Drew teams coach. He was a very good coach, and he had the vision, really, and he really saw that rugby in this area could be taken further. Anyway, like you said, 1997 they got to the cup final at Twickenham against Colstons, and I didn't realise you were playing in that game, so that's really interesting. That was Alex Sanderson captained the side that year. The following year, 1998, I actually came to Kirkham in sixth form. It was quite an inspiration for me seeing that Kirkham side and seeing what lads in the county were achieving, and I got the opportunity to come to school. And that's when I first sort of got a feel for what the culture was like and what it was all about. It just completely changed my life and my total outlook on how professional you can be within a school setting. And then I made the most of it, and I went on and had my own playing career, achieved some good things, played like representative stuff. But mid-2000s, I needed something else other than just playing professional rugby, and I went back to uni. I thought, I want to get into this coaching in school. I really enjoyed it. I was trying to find a way how I can get back. And it sort of sucks you in at Kirkham. 4 of our staff and the P staff were all old boys at school, and we're all former first 15 players, and we all went through that system. That helps massively because you have to, it's like in this job, you have to give blood, you have to sacrifice a lot, you have to have understanding wives, understanding families, and I just think we're lucky that the people who were before us, like Brian Gornall, Alex Hale, and the like, put the foundations in place and had a big enough impact on us guys, that we wanted to come back and sort of continue the legacy, if you were, and try and keep the rugby where it is and give lads opportunities that we had. Give them a piece of, give them the opportunities that we had, really. That's the best way to explain it. And thankfully, we've got governing body and senior lead supporting the programme. And people want to come and be part of the programme as well. You know, the parents send the kids to school to develop their rugby alongside their education. You know, it's we're lucky to have so many sort of enthusiastic rugby players to coach.
I absolutely love that legacy piece and the belonging piece, which you've spoken a lot about in terms of New Zealand rugby, and lots has been written about that with Owen Eastwood and people like James Kerr. But it sounds as if you're just doing that naturally up at Kirkham, which is awesome. Old boys of the school, you've worn the shirt, and those lads must be looking at you going, no, you believe in this as much as we do. So that is just awesome. Just talking about your season and having a look, Jonny, you've played, you had a big win against Wirral Grammar School early on. You had another good win against Finborough, a rugby programme that's been doing really, really well over recent years. Very tight loss to Clifton College. Do you just want to comment on that game a little bit? Just a 3-pointer there, 27-24. What was that game like? We caught some of the highlights. Unbelievable physicality.
Yeah, well, when Matt Salter gave me the call out of the blue last year and said, do we want to play in it? I was just like, this is brilliant. I'm so pleased you're inviting us down, Matt. It's just the perfect sort of development for our boys. Playing on, you know, a pitch, a National League pitch with a big crowd, being filmed, all the pressures that you can't, it's hard to expose kids to those pressures. And that's when you truly see what they're capable of doing and what an experience to learn. So, yeah, we needed that game to highlight to the team and to ourselves as coaches, right, where we're at now and what have we got to do to get to that level. Yeah, we could have, both teams made errors, right, really simple system errors. Either team could have won the game, but I think the right team won the game on the night. I think Kirkham were just a bit inconsistent towards the end of the game, and fair play to Clifton. But we learned a hell of a lot from the game, and we'd go back in a heartbeat if invited.
And I'm sure you'll be invited down, Jonny. I'm sure you will do. Great to hear about everything that's going well. You obviously, one of the things that in the north at rugby, you guys and Sedbergh and those sorts of teams are flying the flag. You've not played Sedbergh for a long, long time. Great to see that fixture back on the fixture list. And I imagine it was a great afternoon at the school. And to get that win over Sedbergh, who've been tearing up trees, must have been extremely pleasing for you, for the boys, and for the school, and for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, what a team that Sedbergh team is. I've watched them come through from sort of like under 14s, and they won obviously Rosslyn Part 7s at under 16s. Some absolute superstars, athletes, very skillful players. They play at an unbelievable tempo. I actually went up there on my own to watch them against Denson a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday afternoon, just to you never quite get the feel from a video, do you? It's better if you're there. And I was like, right, we've got a task on our hands here, and managed to watch the Clifton game. I thought, right, these guys are pretty formidable. But they do leak tries. You can score past them, but how do you stop them scoring? So that became the sort of focus, like, how can we stop their game? How can we stop the flow? But yeah, it was Sam Moore when he took over from Noxie end of last season. And alongside Talon and Danny Harrison, who were good friends, the two headmasters, they sort of said, look, let's get this fixture on. It's two good teams so close together. We need to play the game just to help both teams develop, and it's just a good game of rugby. So yeah, thanks to Sam Moore, it was him who really pushed it really to get the fixture on. And yeah, it was a tremendous game. And thankfully, or not thankfully, but real credit to our sort of boys for buying into it. Myself and Dan Bibby kind of came up with a bit of a defensive plan and an attacking plan, and we prepped it for a few weeks ahead of the games. Even in that Clifton game, there's little bits and pieces of what we were trying to do for the Sedbergh game, if that makes sense. And it's all good and well having a game plan, but you've got to have the players who can execute it. And boy, they did it.
Great to see that fixture on. Do you want to talk a little bit about your link with Sales Sharks and how that works and the players that you get through that system and the benefits of that of that collaboration between yourself and Sale?
Yeah, it's kind of built up over the years. Alex Hale, before I was head of rugby, had a very good relationship. Warren Spragg, who's one of the backs coaches at Sale Sharks now, was the academy manager. Then he moved on, and a guy called Noel Speed, and then Sam Fox, who's under 18 coach, and last year was John Leota. We've built relationships with them over the years. Like, we're talking on the phone every week. They come up to school to work with the EAP players, and basically they have lads coming through their sort of academy from like under 15 to a non-rugby playing schools. They don't have a sixth form, and they just inquire and say, well, what are my options at sixth form? And they just point them in the direction of the likes of us, Sedbergh, Meister College. You've now got the Ashton-on-Mersey, Acer College. And we're fortunate that quite a lot of boys tend to want to come and join our sixth form and be part of our programme. But it's a really it's a collaboration with Sale in a lot of ways. Their S&C coaches are up here working with our boys once a week. The physio will come up. The coaches will come in and do one-on-one reviews with players. And likewise, we'll send a minibus down to Sale twice a week with the boys so they can get their S&C and other bits and pieces, skill sessions done down there. And this part of the season, with the first 15 particularly, before Christmas, it's known as Sale. They call it the boys' playing block and time to develop. Go back to your school, develop your game playing in your school fixtures. We'll pick you up at the end of December, and you'll come back into the academy system and play that academy block. So they help us and we help them, and we're all sort of striving to help the player at the end of the day.
And that's fantastic because you're connecting the dots, everybody's working in unison, and they're putting the player at the centre of it all. And we keep talking about this. We talk about it on both of our pods. If you just put the pupil and the player at the centre of all your decision making, you can't really go wrong, can you? It's just, that's what it's all about, giving the greatest opportunities. And just going back, Jonny, to the Sedbergh game, if you'd have been listening to the pod over the last few weeks, we've basically, they had it tied up, didn't they, Phil? We were talking about Sedbergh as if like nobody was going to catch him. Points machine, scoring 50-odd points, try bonus points everywhere. And then when that result came in, you know, your defence must have been unreal. You've kept him to one converted try, 18-7. Really, you know, one for the ages. And a huge shout out to both head teachers for getting that game going and getting it on, and again putting the pupils at the centre of it. That will be a game that both sets of pupils will talk about and reminisce in their 30s and 40s, I'm sure.
Yeah, and a lot of those boys in the Sale Academy together, so they've been at each other for a few weeks leading up to it. Yeah, going back to the defence, I mean, you know, said they like to move the ball, don't they? And they like to get to that edge. And a lot of schoolboy teams don't have the discipline to keep the width in defence and believe in that defensive spacing, and they bite in and they don't trust, and they get influenced by this blitz defence and think that's the only way you have to defend. It's not. You can defend in different ways, and if you just really simplify it, and we said our thing was every time a Sedbergh player's got a ball in his hand, there's going to be 4 blue shirts in front of him, no matter where that is on the field. And you try to get that kind of concept to the boys, and you've got to chop them. You've got to get them on the floor really quickly. And don't get bogged down with trying to jackal them all the time, because then you're out of the games. Get on your feet. Let's make more tackles. And then, you know, when you're playing against a team that are used to being 30 points up after 15 minutes, and then they're being forced to play 8, 9 phases, they can sometimes start to look at each other and go, "Oh, right, what do we do now?" And that's kind of what happened. But there was a lot of luck involved as well. You know, they were there frustrated with the odd forward pass and knock on, and obviously did that come from just being patient? I don't know, but yeah, we got the luck on the day as well, I think.
Big believer that you make your own luck, Jonny, through that hard work, and I know that's something that you guys will pride yourself on up there. And, you know, what does the rest of the season look like for you, Jonny? You know, the Daily Mail trophy is obviously, you know, in the forefront of your mind. You've put yourself in a great position there with a win against Sedbergh. What does the rest of the Daily Mail trophy look like in?
Yeah, I mean, because of where we're located geographically, it's tricky to get regular fixtures with those top schools in the trophy. But we're going to play. I mean, some of the games that we'll play, which will gather points, will be things like we play Denstone College, we play Woodhouse Grove, we play St Joe's Ipswich after half term. But before that, we've got Terranor College on Friday night, which is an invitation game. we're going over to Belfast and we're going to play Methodist College Belfast. Sandwiched in between that, we've got the St Joe's Festival. So I think we just sort of see where we end up. It's nice just to see where you lie in the land at the end of the day, isn't it? And if 1 year you end up at the top of the pile, then great. We're just trying and be competitive and get better every week, really, and just see where it takes us.
No, love it, absolutely. And you've got some big games coming up. The game against St Joe's will be huge. And as you said, I think we've said it week in and week out. You definitely put your head on the chopping block with your fixture list. You go out there, you find the biggest schools you can play, and therefore, you've got a great chance. It's high risk, high reward. We say it every week. You've got a great chance to win as many merit points as you possibly can. It's going to be tough to get those try bonus points against the opposition you play against. Just looking at the league table, we've had obviously a few movers and shakers. We've got Sir Tommy Riches, who are top of the log, and we are calling out to anybody from Sir Tommy Riches to get on the pod. We'd love to talk to you about your season. They are top of the log as we can look at it right now. Northampton School for Boys still going great guns. They're in second. Sedbergh down to third. We've got Zoran Higgins, St Benedict's, Ealing in fourth, and then Wellington College, who, again, what a game that was, Phil. You just want to talk about that one against Millfield. Wellington just holding on to fifth at the moment, but they had an absolute ding-dong against Millfield.
Yeah, and another great game. And this is what's so exciting about doing the pod is just there literally are just cracking games every single Saturday or every single sort of Wednesday. Millfield, Wellington, two the big hitters alongside the likes of Kirkham and those guys. But really tight game. But I managed to see the game, and the try that won it for Millfield was an absolute cracker off a line out. Again, we talked about pressure, being patient. Johnny's just mentioned it. Wellington gave away a penalty, allowed Millfield some field position, a lovely little line-out back peel, and the ball made its way to the winger who scored in the corner, and it was a fantastic game of rugby. Again, Johnny mentioned playing on decent pitches and a National League pitch. The pitch down at Millfield is as good as they come. So for those boys to play in that environment, is fantastic. And another really, really good test for Millfield. Again, who are a school who just don't hide from anyone. So when's the Millfield Kirkham game going to be on? Come on, let's get that one on.
Hey,
come on, Johnny, we want it.
Interestingly, I've been in communication with John Mallet down at Millfield. Yeah, I've thrown a few dates at them because we'd love to play them and challenge ourselves. Aled, before I was head of rugby, we used to have a link with Millfield and play them, and that stopped for whatever reason. But yeah, if you look at, like you said, we put our head on the chopping block. It kind of came from sort of Aled and Brian Gornall. I actually wrote a list down of some of the teams that we'd played over the years, like Millfield, Tonbridge, Abingdon, Stowe, Llandovery College, Beecham Cliff, Mount St Mary, Seaford, Harrow, and then all these Irish teams. We played Blackrock, St Michael's, Wesley College, Ballymena, Methodist College. I mean, yeah, we love to throw a few sort of long distance big teams in the mix, and it's just kind of become part of the Kirkham season, if you like. Where are we off to next year? What we're going to do? Good fun.
Just talking to Blackrock, Sedbergh have got Blackrock this weekend actually in a block, which won't count towards the Daily Mail Trophy, but it's worth a little shout out there. Obviously, the premier rugby programme over in Ireland, a lot being said about them. And they're playing staggered kickoffs, which will end with the crescendo of the first 15, which is a really nice way of doing it. I think there's 9 games going on there. We've got Stowe School in 6th. Just on that little sidebar, I've managed to track down. I didn't realise this, but I actually know Henry Pollock's agent. So I am one step closer to getting the main man on the pod. We're coming for him. So I've got a coffee with Henry Pollock's agent on Monday afternoon about something completely separate. And I did mention to him over WhatsApp yesterday, I said, we want him on the pod. Come on, we want him talking about schoolboy rugby. So Henry, if you're listening to this, we're coming for you. We're coming for you. And I will get those answers out of you about that plate final all those years ago. And then my old school KCS, Wimbledon. In 7th, they had an unbelievable game against Mill Hill on the weekend, which they actually sadly lost. It was 13-12 with 5 minutes left, and Mill Hill got the converted try for a 19-13 win. Talking to a King's parent who I'm still in touch with, he just said the size of the Mill Hill pack, their forward runners off 9, how abrasive, how difficult it was to stop them. And Johnny, interesting what you say there, and I might employ this at KCS Old Boys on the weekend. We need a must-win game for the men. Getting those 4 in front, getting those bodies in front. We talk a lot about it in our defensive training, double tackles, increasing that time in tackle. But, nowadays more than ever with the S&C and the athletic development out there for the schoolboys, it's so important to get bodies in front, isn't it? The one-on-one tackle really when the runner's running off 9 isn't necessarily going to work.
We quite often talk about hunting in threes. So, you're always connected. You're never left on your own to make a tackle. There's always someone who can jump into that channel with you and defending the ball rather than defending people. And just making sure you've always got 2 or 3 people near the ball to affect that tackle area. So, yeah, definitely if you can create a bit of time in tackle, it's going to help you fold.
Brilliant. And it sounds like, look, there's some great games this weekend just gone. You mentioned Stowe, a 17-all draw with Rugby. That must have been an absolute classic again. My old school collegiate got a win against Kes Bath, which must have been a tight game, 14-10, and Ollie Robinson doing a great job since he's taken over coaching down there, following in his father's footsteps of coaching there all those years ago, so well done to them. And really one that stood out for me, Russ, was Taunton versus Sherborne. That must have been a hell of a game because Sherborne have been going well, and Taunton putting 40 points on Sherborne. I'd love to know a bit more about that game.
Yeah, 40 points to 5. Looks like they had a really good day there at home. And then a school I want to mention that had an unbelievable year last year, didn't they? Winning Roslyn Park Sevens, winning the Sedbergh Tens, but Brighton College with a 22-21 win against Tunbridge away as well down in Kent. Boise, Nick Boyle will be happy with that one, and just seeing them creep into the top 20. We said it, I think you said it last week, Phil, didn't you, that Brighton College will be in amongst the conversation post-half term. No doubt about that. No doubt. But 22-21, mate, what a game that must have been.
Yeah, it would have been a great game. And again, played on a lovely pitch down at Tunbridge School. And I think the other one to mention from me is Epsom College just coming up on the rails. They had a great win against Seaford at the weekend. And that would have been a really, 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 really classic game to watch. And 2 good sides, both well coached, going at each other. So it's been another great week of schoolboy rugby, and it's just so great to be able to shine the light on it, isn't it? Like I can see Johnny smiling when he thinks about all those fixtures and everything that's coming up, and trying to provide that aspirational environment for these young kids, whilst combining their academics. It's really, really, really important that, great. I think that's Johnny, clearly why that works so well for you guys up there is that you've got an understanding of the school and the fabric of the school, and that they're still young men, but we're still trying to provide an aspirational environment for these kids to learn in.
And we are a day school, and we run a standard sort of 5 1-hour period day. So we're squeezing this rugby program in and around just the normal curriculum. But like I said, it's just normal for these kids to train at lunchtime or jump out after school, or get into the classroom to do a bit of video analysis at lunchtime. And yeah, we're fortunate that we've got a healthy culture at the school.
No, good on you, mate. And I can't. We keep repeating this time and time again. I think what these pupils do for their school and for their community and how they manage it and manage their time, but with the support of the adults around you. And it sounds like you've got a fantastic team of adults there, Johnny, from the headmaster all the way down, supporting them in their rugby dream. But we just want to say thank you. You've been really generous with your time this morning. I'm sure you've got a period to get to, and we don't want to upset your headmaster. Otherwise, he'll be on WhatsApp to us immediately, I'm sure. But Johnny, thank you so much for being on the pod. You've been an absolute legend, and I hope that it's not 10 years until I see you again.
No, well, thanks so much. Talon was sort of telling me about it last week. I had heard of you two guys on the circuit and things, and I thought, I do like listening to podcasts, so I'll give this, I'll have a look. Oh my God, I've listened to so many episodes in the last week. It's great. Honestly, guys, keep it up. It's good fun, but it's nice to hear other people's reflections and experiences from around the country, and we're all experiencing the same stuff. It's just nice to hear it and know that you're not on your own. It's brilliant. Keep it up, fellas. I loved it. Thanks for having me on.
Brilliant. Johnny, thanks very much. It's been 20 years, I think, since we played England students together many, many moons ago against Romania. Was it?
Mate, I remember now.
Yeah.
I remember now. I was racking my brains. And Richard Hill and Dosso as our coach.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we played Romania. I think it was at Cambridge University.
Yeah.
All those years ago. Yeah.
Oh, God. I'm sorry that I didn't remember. Do you know what? We had a good laugh that week, didn't we?
We did have a good laugh that week. We did have a very good laugh that week. It was definitely students rugby. I'd just like to say that I think we lost the game in the end, but we were winning when I got hauled off after 60 minutes. But mate, it's great to see you again, and great to see so much good stuff.
Cheers. Appreciate that. Thank you. See you.
Brilliant, guys. So listen, Jonny, thanks very much for your time. As I said, great to see you again. Russ, thanks for connecting from wherever you are in central London. And listen, I've been little, he's large. Keep it up. Have a great weekend, everyone. And thanks very much for your time. Take care.